the podcast, you do audio only? Is it in-person interviews and local businesses and local founders? Those are the people that you're targeting? Is that like the
Yeah.
tech stack, if you
So
will?
Yep. So it's in person. 99% of them have been in person. There's been a couple exceptions, but I just believe that in person conversations are always better. They're far more intimate. You can feel each other's energy, whereas through the screen, as much as I'm enjoying this conversation, Vernon, I can't feel your energy as much
Right.
as I would like to. So we'll have to do it in person next time, perhaps.
Sure.
So yeah, it's audio only. And listen, I know, you being a podcast industry pro, me being a pro, I know very clearly that, yes, you're supposed to be on YouTube and everyone's watching a video podcast these days and the stats. I'm actually pretty skeptical of that. Like, sure, you can look at view counts on YouTube videos, but look at the retention counts. These are like
Mm.
12-second retentions. No one's watching a YouTube podcast 40 minutes in, but you bet their ass they're listening to it. My retention times audio wise are incredible. I'm very proud of them. So, and it's also just like a manpower thing. Like, I would do video if I had the manpower, but I am pretty much a one-man production crew at this point. Perhaps that will change, but with my
Sure.
experience, I do it all. One-man production crew, audio podcast. I'm very, very active on social media, cutting clips from the podcast, promoting events, promoting other businesses in just social media exclusive ways, doing local news stories. So yeah, very active with all of that. And yeah, the people that I talk to are mainly local business owners. They don't have to be, but
Mhm.
sometimes it's just kind of local people of interest, people who are just very influential in the community.
Mhm.
It really, really runs the gamut.
Let's talk about the dinner and the media flywheel, kind of how those talk to each other or like there's synergy. I think you started doing dinners last year. I could be wrong.
Yep.
So tell us how the dinners work in conjunction with the podcasts. Yeah, what's the play behind that?
Yeah.
And what's been the
So
results also? Because I think
yeah.
this is actually interesting. It's pretty interesting.
So Seacoast Stories Dinner Club, for those of you who don't know, this is part of a larger movement founded by Dinner, DNNR, who a company that is run by Rachel and Ryan Lambert, this husband and wife couple. They used to work in Silicon Valley, and now coincidentally, they live in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. We're friends, so they were building this thing, and they wanted to have me be the test dummy for it. So they came to me last summer and said, "Hey, we're building this thing where we get strangers together for dinner. We live here, you live here, you have an audience that's growing by the day. Let's do this dinner club thing here with your audience, and we'll go from there." And fast forward to now, we're speaking in February, Vernon. I've done 7 of these, I believe. I
7
do
dinners.
7 dinners once
Wow.
a month. I do it perhaps differently than the other, Ray and Ryan have 50 other people or 50 other communities around the country that they're doing this with. So I think I do it differently than they do. But because the Seacoast has a bunch of these towns that are really like small, tight knit, but with killer restaurants, all the restaurants are within walking distance to each other, and people just have an affinity for these businesses. I approached it. I want to spread the love. I want to get people out into all these different towns. So I do a different town every month, just
Mm.
rotating. And so they've been a hit. They just keep getting bigger. The most recent one we did was in sleepy little Newmarket, New Hampshire. We sold out every available restaurant reservation in that town. We had 100 something people there. I had people who live in Newmarket DM me and be like, "Oh, now I know why I could not find a parking spot on Friday is because you sent all of your listeners to take over the town of Newmarket." And then, yeah, we all went to a bar afterwards. That's the key part of the whole experience is everyone goes to dinner before all my listeners, 100 people. In this case, we had 100 people, 16 groups at 7 or 8 different restaurants. And then we all congregate on a bar afterwards. In this case, it was a very like historic music venue that's in a church, but it's also a bar. So
Mhm.
it was really cool. And yeah, it's a big part of growing my podcast audience, which was not the original intent of the dinner club. It's been a beautiful byproduct. It was to already strengthen the audience that I have already and get them to know each other. I wasn't necessarily looking at it as an audience acquisition tool,
Hmm.
but they're so fun, and people who go to them end up raving about them, or it's very social media friendly, so someone shares it with a friend and then they're like, oh my god, I want to do this thing where I go out to dinner with strangers and support local businesses and meet other cool people in the area. They see the word Seacoast Stories Dinner Club without knowing that Seacoast Stories is a local podcast,
Right.
so they push that aside. They go to the dinner. Inevitably, there's a Seacoast Stories super fan at the table who tells
Mm.
them all about the podcast that they love and listen to every week. And then that person's like, oh, I should check it out. And so then they check it out the next day and then they like it. And it just goes from there. So my audience has grown a lot since we started the dinner clubs last July. And that's been a beautiful byproduct of it.
So the rabid fans that are listeners almost become like your 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 billboard at the dinner.
Exactly. Exactly.
So that's, I mean, it's, I can see how that's a home run.
For
And
sure.
then how are you using the dinner platform to manage all of that? Because it sounds like a nightmare to like
Yeah.
manage 100 people, 16 different groups
Yeah.
across multiple
That's
restaurants.
that's the amazing thing about the dinner platform is pretty much all I have to do as the creator and host of it is promote it. In dinner's terms, that's the ideal. I mean, I choose the town, I choose the date, and
Sure.
then they go and figure out, hey, these are the restaurants we should hit. And then me and I do have one person on my team who just kind of goes and like double checks those, because sometimes the tech will misidentify and it'll be like, oh, that's actually a gas station, like that's not a restaurant. Only like
Yeah.
the locals would know, what's actually a restaurant, what's not, or what's like a place that like we actually don't want to go there. Or in some cases I might have like a personal vendetta with a restaurant owner, and I'm like, I don't want to send anyone there. Maybe like the person who works there is an ex of mine or something. So that's something I
That's
have to
funny.
monitor as well. So we go in, approve them, and star our personal preferences. We like to choose the after party bar because we're also like making this a monetization opportunity for us. Like,
Right.
I had one bar in December pay for us to be there. So we're starting to, this thing is getting so big that's really starting to become a bargaining chip with local restaurants. Like, hey, because we're not only gonna bring you business, we're also gonna post about you on social media and that we went there. So it's a really good thing for local restaurants and bars to be attached to as well. So we're starting to negotiate there with places. And so we just, keep the dinner team in the clue on that. But like all the tech stuff, the matching of the groups, the pairing of people, the
Yeah.
algorithms that make all this happen, all the monetization aspects of it, that's all dealt on their back end, and money just gets sent to me from them, and it's pretty sweet.
That's nice. Yeah, that's
Yeah, it's nice.
as an organizer myself, that is probably the bane of doing events, right? Herding
Yes.
people and getting them all. Talk about the role that Instagram plays in this, because I was looking at your Instagram. Although you're not doing video for the podcast, it seems like Instagram is like a big engine behind the promotion and
Oh,
like,
absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah, so while I do not release full episodes of the podcast on YouTube, I do release a bunch of clips from the podcast on social media. And if you can't do YouTube full podcast, I would advise anyone, you gotta put stuff out on social media if you want this stuff to be discovered. Like, that's just the way
sure,
of the world, whether that's Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook, whatever the two platforms are that you believe you can do well, absolutely be there. And I've just always been drawn to Instagram more so than any of their other platforms. So when I started Seacoast Stories, I started the at Seacoast Stories Instagram page and decided, all right, I'm gonna post 2, 3, 4 solid clips from my podcast each week, and use this as a way to just like, hey, new episodes out, or hey, just to like let people know that this podcast exists. Because I mean, the majority of my reels that I post are seen by non-followers who don't know what Seacoast Stories is. And so always trying, you hope that like in an ideal world, someone sees one clip and is like, you immediately convert them. And it's like, yep, subscribing to this podcast. Can't wait to get this episode every Monday. In reality, I know that's not how it works. You need to be beaten over the head with it and see a clip from my show 15 times before you're like, huh, maybe I should give this a follow. The stuff that I've seen, I've enjoyed. I think maybe I would like a full version of this. And yeah, I mean, social media clips are right along with YouTube the by far the number one way for discovering podcasts these days. Spotify, I know Spotify tried to figure it out internally within the app, never happened. YouTube and social though, great platform for that.
Yeah, I think what you're doing with Instagram is pretty cool. Now, are you starting back up the newsletter, or do you have a newsletter for Seacoast Stories? Is
Yeah,
that
so I
part of
have a
it?
Substack newsletter that I started maybe like 2 months ago.
Okay.
Yes, everyone and their mother has told me about the newsletter, and you
And
need the
you're and
web.
you're a writer too, right?
I know I am a writer too, but it's just like it's
It's a
all a
lot.
lot, you know.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. Yeah.
I do have the Substack now, and I'm writing there every week, and that's where I'm kind of giving like a behind the scenes because I didn't want to just be like, hey, new episode out now, like hey, new event
Right.
announced now. I wanted to be something meaningful where I could actually flex my writing skills, and I just tend to be more so of an emotional writer, so I'm kind of giving more so like behind the scenes about the business, about how I choose guests, about how I approach conversations, et cetera, because
Yeah.
just to offer something different, because on the podcast I don't speak that much. It's not about me, it's about the people that I'm highlighting. I don't get the opportunity much to show personality and such, so I take the newsletter to really showcase more of me in that sense. But yeah, the newsletter's a new thing. The website, it's still not live at the moment that we are talking. I'm not a web developer. I've certainly learned that in this whole process.
Talk to me about the revenue model, because this is kind of an interesting. You're kind of pioneering something that, like, at
Yeah.
least from what I gather, hasn't existed. I'd imagine being a solo kind of like founder running this, there's a lot of moving pieces. How are you managing it? Can you talk about the revenue? Do people see you as like this guy who's like super rich and they're like, wow, like Troy's must be killing it?
Yeah, that's so funny. That is such a misconception. Because, yeah, people who don't understand the media business and who just look at me being everywhere, as much as people hear anecdotally about my podcast, like my podcast comes up in every single room in this area, as much as they see all the growing numbers by the day, people assume, yeah, I'm killing it. And while I am killing it in terms of like an audience growth and events and whatnot, the monetization has, is falling far behind that. But I knew that. I come from the media family. My dad got laid off from like 6 newspapers. I know that the media business is hard. I'm not an idiot. I know why local media is struggling because it's a hard business model to get people to pay for local news. It's hard to get people to pay for your articles and whatever. So when I started Seacoast Stories, I never had the intention of this being like my full-time thing, but I ended up loving it so much and it was received so well that I was like, I want to devote all my time to this. How do I make the money work? I've got to
Sure.
get creative. So at the beginning of this year was when I went like fully full time with this. I was still doing some straggling things on the side after I left Spotify. So I'm now
Yeah.
in on Seacoast Stories and yoga. And I'm a yoga teacher as well. And I'm getting super creative with it. And it's lighting me up so much inside just to know that like my ass is on the line every day. And I just have to figure it out. So with all that's to say, I have 3 pillars, 3 verticals for monetization. Number one is sponsorships,
Okay.
which is very traditional for podcasts.
Yep.
And that's usually I have a bunch of different packages, different offerings of varying prices and what's involved, but it's usually like a melding of podcast sponsorship and social media sponsorship. So, and I have like kind of short-term ones for a month and long-term ones for the year. Usually like small businesses for the smaller ones because that's really key to this area, big part
Mhm.
of what we're all about. And then your bigger businesses, for the long term. So sponsorships number one. Number two are my live events. So these are my dinner clubs, which I'm doing, have been doing every month, but this month, February, I'm expanding to 2, at least for the cold winter months here, just because it's been so well and just because there's so many different towns that I want to hit and there's a lot of demand for it. So could be end up being too much, but you never know if you don't try. So we'll see how
Sure.
that goes. And I hosted 4 live podcasts last year at cool venues in front of live audiences, pretty much selling like 100 tickets to those each time. So those have been great. And then there's usually
Wait, wait, wait,
sponsored.
wait, wait. You sell tickets to the live
Yes.
podcasts?
Yep.
How much?
Like, how much do they cost?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, they were different events on venues. Like this one's $20, this one's
Okay.
$35, et cetera, et
But that's
cetera.
interesting. So somebody's paying money to come hear you interview somebody.
Yeah, they're paying to come watch the show.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it's live and in person, and I love doing it. And live
Yeah.
podcasts were at the heart of me starting this podcast as well. I'm a
Yeah.
performer by nature. I grew up singing, playing sports. I wanted to get back on stage, and live podcast, the spoken word, are just such a stripped down way to do that. And I love being live and in front of people. So yeah, people pay to come and see those. I want to do a couple of those this year. So that's another thing. I hosted a dating show in the final quarter
What?
of last year, Seacoast Singles. I was expecting
That
70
probably
people.
works for you. You're not married and you're single,
It was
right?
great. Yeah. I was expecting
You could
70
just
people.
put yourself on them.
I know. I literally just threw it for me. I was expecting 70 people to come. 140 people came, and we had a
Wow.
massive wait list after the fact. So we're going to do a handful of those this year. So those are the events. And then on the social media side, like the social media is really starting to pick up now. I mean, as of right now, we're at like, 10, 11,000 Instagram followers, 4 or 5,000 Facebook, 3,000 on TikTok, which I like just started a TikTok. So that's doing well. So yeah, so that offers great opportunities because even like you hear the follower numbers and that's not like, oh my God, 11,000 followers. That's nothing. Like it's not that much, but my audience is so
Yeah.
hyper engaged and my engagement is so high that it makes a lot of sense for local businesses, local brands to partner with Seacoast Stories on social media. And so yeah, in a nutshell, that's how it's all going. And when I entered this year, I was very afraid. Like, am I gonna make this work? This is a very expensive area. I'm a diabetic as well, so like my life is just expensive. Am I gonna be able to make this work? And based on how January and February has gone, I'm like, I can make this work. Like I'm not where sketching out, it's not where I want and believe this can be, but it's like, holy shit, like it's actually happening. Like I'm going to make this work, which is really cool.
You think it has the potential to do 6 figures?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Cool.
That's on the bingo card for this year.
Okay.
Couple things have to fall into place. When I sketched it out last fall, I was like, oh, 6 figures, no problem. The problem that I'm running into is that in this specific area, this might not translate for other areas. In this specific area, it skews older demographics wise, digital media, and the people who have the money. They don't quite understand what I'm doing. They don't grasp the
They don't get
importance
it.
of
Yeah.
it. So
They
they're a
don't
little
get it.
bit old school. So a lot of the people with the money, I'm just like having to explain to them, like, here's these numbers. Here's the number of shares on this post. Like, yes, I
This
have
is an Instagram.
Yes. I'm like, okay, yes, I have 10,000
Real
followers. Yes, they have 70,000 followers, but I have 3 times as many likes
engagement.
and
Yeah.
shares as them. That matters more than the follower counts, but people are just still stuck in all of that. So I haven't done the best job at communicating my value. And so I'm, when I'm, like hiring people on the team who I kind of need to like speak on my behalf more, who can drive it home better than I can. The money's
Yeah.
definitely there and deserves to be there. It just, I kind of just like have to change some minds because what I'm doing in this area is brand new and people don't understand it.
Yeah. I mean, it's brand new in that like there's a couple of things working against you.
Yeah.
And I say this with love. It's not Denver, Colorado, right?
Yeah.
It's not New York. There's like you said, it's an older. They get demographic skews older, so they've like it's like, oh, what's an Instagram reel, right? It's like these
Right.
people probably don't have TikTok accounts.
Yeah.
However, I think if you can get it right and perfect it, I think I told you this. There's like a model where you teach people this, right? And I think
Absolutely.
that's probably where you're gonna, if you ever decide to, and this is unsolicited feedback, but if you ever decide to consult or say, hey, like Mr. I live in Richmond, Virginia, right? For example, if somebody wanted to start what you're doing in Richmond, you could say, here's the playbook, here's the training. You can do a cohort where we're going to show you how to build it,
Yep.
playbooks, everything. You become the celebrity. They can't really go buy that from anybody else. So
Right.
you're kind of like in a category of your own. Again, it's more, I'm just not trying to give you more work, but that's just an idea that.
Yeah. No, you're
yeah.
you're not the first to suggest something like that. And there's definitely, that's definitely something I would be interested in doing. But yeah, I've got a little more work to do to like fully
Sure.
like prove that like this does work. And then
Sure.
once I have fully proven that more than I have, then I'll be ready to look to do things like that.
Awesome. Um, Tell me about the like in terms of like the sponsorship. What's the acquisition model? Are there specific sponsors that work better, like banks, real estate, credit unions, transportation? I imagine you're not really going for national brands. You're probably going for more regional or local. How does that work right now?
Yeah, so when I think about the longer term sponsors, I was going for kind of one person to own each respective category. Your categories being transportation, hospitality, bank, real estate, and a couple more entertainment, a couple more areas.
Sure.
So I've only really I've locked down like one long-term sponsor for in the home improvement sense. Shout out to Budget Blinds of the Seacoast, which Budget Blinds is a national company, they have local chapter, whatever. So that's how I think about that. What else? What
Did they come from listening? Did you do
Oh
outbound? Was
yes.
this a relationship? How
So
did you
yeah,
learn
so
from them?
Budget Blinds, for example, came from, I mean, this is like so old school, right? Which is like what I love about this. So I'm in the Chamber of Commerce in Portsmouth, which like is a pretty robust. There's like hundreds of people who go to these events every time. And so I just let it slip to one or two people like, hey, I'm looking for sponsors. Is anyone in this room you think they'd be up for it? And it's like, hey, Troy, here's Ian. Meet, you guys should meet. And then,
Sure.
couple calls back and forth, and we've got a deal done. But yeah, I mean, I've been doing a lot of small businesses because that's just like people love that stuff. I've gotten lots of great feedback in terms of those things leading to conversions. Like a local business coach, for example, got several clients. The local like a yoga studio got a bunch of new memberships from that. And I also, for no specific reason, Vernon, I have a massive female audience. The show is not catered to females in any way, but my podcast and social media audience is 70 to 75% women. And so
Wow.
I do end up having a lot of sponsors that are, beauty brands. Like someone did like
Yeah.
scalp like hair, something about hair loss and growing hair back, and a lot of stuff like generated or geared toward women as well. Works like
Sure.
this all women's group, whatever. Which also is fun to partake in, because then men on the internet get so insecure by a straight man talking about all these, Botox and laser hair removal and such.
We know why they're really mad, but
Yeah, yeah.
we won't talk about it. That's great, man. So cool. So you got the sponsors. I love the model. I think you're onto something big.
Yeah.
Um, do you have I'm curious like what your point of view is on this. I know you kind of talked about this a little bit. Like, why do you think this is the future? If it's the future, like what do you see happening for Seacoast Stories and that region of the country over the next 3 to 5 years with what you're doing? Um, yeah, is this a model that you see working in other places?
Yeah, so a big belief driving Seacoast Stories is that people are just so tired of what's happening nationally. Like the country's been a dumpster fire for the last decade, and the headlines just like ridiculous headline after ridiculous headline. That's like, I can't even believe this is happening right now. And I can't speak for other people. I kind of just started bowing out from it a couple years ago and was like, and whether you think that's the right call or wrong call, I was just like, I have no control over this. Like these
Mm,
things are just going to happen. Why am I going to let myself get so upset and so enraged by things that are happening so far away from me? I'm in the Northeast. Like something happens in Texas, something happens in New Mexico. Like, why am I going to let that completely throw off my day and my
mm,
mood? And I was just like taking a look as I moved here. I was like, take a look around you. Like, take a look at your neighbors. Take a look at like the local issues. Take a look at the things that you actually can go touch right now. And Seacoast Stories was my way, my unique individualized way of like, here's me making a difference. Here's me
Sure.
making a difference in the area. Like, I'm doing stuff for people every day. I'm with them in their cars. I'm with them on their dog walks. And like, this podcast is coming up in town board meetings. It's coming up in like probably in like state legislatures and such. And like, that's making a difference. And that's
That's
my
really
way
cool.
of making a difference. And so I just think that everyone should start focusing more on like what's actually going on around you, because as humans, that's what we're meant for. We grew up in tribes. We are tribal people. The stats, like, we're not supposed to know more than like 300 people, and now we know all these like thousands of people on online, which like fucks with our brains and our brain chemistry. And it's no wonder so many of us are so depressed these days, because we're not supposed to know about this many people and know about these many things going on. And
Yeah.
I just think we should all just care more about what's happening in our immediate vicinity, and we will all be so much happier for that. And I will tell you, I am such a happier person now once I started being a part of my actual community, not a Discord community, not a Telegram community, not in the YouTube comments, but like here in real life where all the good stuff
IRL.
actually happens, IRL.
Yeah.
And I believe and I hope that more people adopt that mindset in the coming years. And I think as a local creator,
Hmm.
there are huge opportunities for local creators everywhere to do exactly what I'm doing. And yes, to your point, I would love to help spearhead them do that. But like, my social media content, just like a funny example, like when I started cutting clips from the podcast, I was like, man, this local gym owner I'm talking to is dropping gold right now about proper deadlift form. So yeah, I'm going to cut that on social and it'll go viral or whatever. And it doesn't. But when that same gym owner is talking about his favorite coffee shop down the street in Rye, New Hampshire, that's gonna go viral. Like, I've got a clip going viral right now that it's like 3,000 shares on it, of a local yoga teacher talking about the University of New Hampshire bar she used to work at. And it's like, once I realized that, like, people just care about the local shit, like the local stuff works.
Yeah.
So yeah, in a microcosm, that's what I'm doing. And I believe that there's definitely a model for it interest wise. The monetization is tricky, and that's what I'm
Hmm.
trying to figure out. But I think I'm cracking a code as we speak.
Yeah. The hard part about pioneering something is that you have to take all the lumps on
Yeah,
that.
which I definitely am.
Cool, man. So what I do have two more things. The first thing is has there been anything unexpected or unusual that has come from you starting this that you haven't shared?
Mm.
Yeah.
Unexpected, I would say, when I ask someone to come on to the it's funny. Like, if I ask Andrea Schwanbeck is the name of a person I've interviewed. If I asked Andrea, hey, like, you want to go grab coffee? It might be like, yeah, like, let's do it sometime. And we keep kicking it down the road, and then it never happens. Or maybe it takes way too long for it to happen. Ask Andrea, hey, you want to come on my podcast? Sure. Like, done. 2 weeks from today.
Get it on the
And
calendar.
yeah, we get it on the calendar, and it becomes this incredible way to connect to another human being that you otherwise may not do.
Uh-huh.
The conversations I end up having with these people, they're pretty emotional. We get a lot of people crying. We get into some heavy shit. It becomes a de facto therapy session for a lot of the people that I'm talking to, and I'm very grateful that people feel like they can be that way around me and
Sure.
say things that they've never really said publicly or to anyone in their lives before. So that's something that I take a lot of pride in. But a connection is forged through that conversation. And then after that podcast and after it airs, like, and the dust settles, we become close friends. I now have so many close friendships that started either directly from having a conversation on the podcast, or that person brought me into their network and now I'm super close with that person. And so when I moved to Portsmouth 2.5 years ago, my birthday is December 31st. I had two people at my birthday party, mom and dad.
Mm,
2 years later, I had 85 people at my birthday party, and
it's
it
a good
all
party.
stemmed, every single person in that room, had something to do with the Seacoast Stories in some fashion at some point. So that was unexpected, just how many beautiful
Yeah.
relationships it's given to me.
Super powerful, man. Yeah, super powerful. Thank you for sharing that. It's a beautiful story. Okay, so we're almost at time. There's this thing I do called the one by one by one.
Oh boy.
So it's a little lightning round. It's gonna probably rattle you a little bit. No, you're fine. You're a performer. You'll be good. So here's how it goes. So one room that has made an impact on your life in some way, professionally or personally. Now, when I say room, it's a place that you were or somebody that you met. You know, I can contextualize it more with a story if you want.
Sure.
Number two is a quote that you reference often, or you know that comes up for you, and a book that you recommend. And then the last one, I'll save the last one. It's a final thought, but we'll save that.
Oh
So
boy. Okay.
we could start with the room.
All right. The room that has had a big impact on my life.
Doesn't have to be the room. It can be
Okay.
any room.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will say, so I referenced earlier that I'm a yoga teacher. There's this studio in Portsmouth called Three Bridges Yoga,
Okay.
and that room has made a tremendous impact on my life. It's my second home. Its owner, Stephanie, is the reason why I'm in Portsmouth still. I moved here. I was going to move away because my first couple months weren't great. I had a medical scare in one of her yoga classes, diabetes related, and she cared for me and looked after me in ways that no one really had in the previous years outside of my family. And after that, I took that as a sign from the universe. There's people here who care about you. You should stay here. I had broken my lease. I was going to move to New York City. Seacoast Stories never would have existed had she not shown that act of kindness to me. And that decision to stay in Portsmouth opened up everything else. And that studio is where I did my yoga teacher training under Stephanie's tutelage. It's where I've also had so many amazing relationships come from. I'm now a teacher at that studio in a big full circle moment.
There you go.
And I've gone on several of Stephanie's yoga retreats. I just went to Mexico with her, and she's someone who means a whole lot to me, and that space means a whole lot to me as well.
Man, super cool story. Super cool. I'm a yogi too.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. I
sweet.
started doing yoga probably about a decade ago.
Oh
So yeah,
nice.
yeah, yeah.
What's
But
your favorite pose?
um my favorite pose, um probably man, probably what's the joint where you go like that? Is that
Warrior
the
two.
Warrior 2?
Yeah, you're
Warrior
just
2,
saying Warrior
yeah.
two. Okay, cool.
Warrior 2,
I like
yeah.
that. I'm a big
Um
anything with the eagle arms bind. I'm big on.
oh, eagle arms on
Yeah.
one leg, that's
Oh
where it
yeah.
starts to get tricky. Yeah, but I mean, changed my physiology,
Yeah.
changed my like there's so much from there's and not even getting into the yoga sutras because that's a whole
Yeah.
nother thing, but yeah, it's good stuff. Yeah, we have a
It's
lot of
very good stuff.
parallels. It's funny.
Sweet.
Um, a book or a quote. It's the next one.
A book or a quote. Okay. Quote: when you live with all your heart, life becomes one big smile. Not to get dark on you, but my best friend Deanna Rivers was killed in a car crash in 2012 by a
Mm,
drunk, high, speeding, texting driver. And that event completely rocked my world and is honestly at the foundation of who I am today and drives my entire mindset and why I do everything that I do, because I learned from that. I had seen her the night before. She and I were in like a little fight at that time, like stupid, meaningless high school shit. And I never got to tell her one more time how much I love her. And then she was tragically killed alongside another person as well, Chris Stewart. And that was like the, oh my God, people can be taken away from you at any moment. This life
right.
can be taken away from you at any moment, just like that. Go after the thing. Like, life is so precious. Like, people have me on this pedestal where it's like, how do you do this? How do you do this? Like, how do you do all these things? It's just because I know tomorrow I might not get the chance to do it. So I'm going
Yeah.
to do it today. I don't watch TV. I don't waste time. I'm super efficient with every second of my day. I don't care about the stuff that I can't control. I only care about whom and what I can impact. And it's because of what happened that night. That quotes is on her tombstone, which I go visit once or twice a year when I'm back home in upstate New York. And Deanna was the smiliest person ever, and had a smile that lit up a room, and she made everyone feel very loved and welcomed. And I try to have some of that same energy too.
Yeah, man. I'm sorry to hear about your friends. I think that's a beautiful philosophy that you've embodied through from that experience. So it's a crappy thing to have to experience, but it looks like it's, her spirit lives on through what you're doing. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
One final thought. Okay, one final thought to wrap it all up for the people out there. Seacoast Stories, the dinner model, the local celebrity influencer, screw the news, we'll create the news. We got 16 different groups and hundreds of people coming out to
Yeah.
hang out. We're doing live podcasts where people are paying you money
Yeah.
because you're the man they're coming to see perform, which that's kind of cool. What's your final thought on all this?
My final thought is I want everyone listening to go have a conversation with someone physically in person. Is it a friend? Is it a partner? Is it someone in your orbit? Is it a friend of a friend? Is it a stranger? Find that person, sit down one-on-one with them, put the phones away, put all the distractions aside, and just have a real conversation. Not a how are you, not a like, hey, let's talk about the Yankees or whatever, but like say something that you've never said out loud to that person. Listen to that person, ask follow-up questions, show them that you care, make them feel like they are the most important thing in your world at that present moment, because they are. Because I know firsthand that it's the relationships that define who we are. People, what is the classic about, like, at your eulogy, what are people going to say about you at your eulogy? They're not going to talk about the money you made and
For sure.
the vacations you went on. They're going to talk about what kind of person you were, how you made people feel, what kind of, what people say about you when you're not in the room. That's something I'm always very cognizant of. So I would just say, go have a meaningful conversation with someone, make them feel special, and make sure that they walk away from that conversation feeling like, man, what a great guy or girl that is. I should talk to that person more.
Well said, man. Well said. If people want to check out Seacoast Stories, they want to find you.
Yeah.
Where should they look on Instagram?
Seacoast Stories podcast. You can give it a follow on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts. Audio only is on YouTube if that's your jam. And yeah, I'm on Instagram at Seacoast Stories, TikTok at seacoast.stories.
Awesome, man. Well, thanks for doing this, Troy. It was a pleasure, and look forward to following along the journey and having you back.